Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear sister. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? There is this other cousin brother of mine who passed away at a South African hospital. And I want to tell you that sometimes when you are in a hospital, when you see that there are nurses that are ignoring you, sometimes there might be a spirit that will be causing those nurses to ignore you. Like those people that you hear that they would have died just waiting to get treatment. There will be something that will be going on there, like what happened to my cousin brother. So, Brother Nash, what happened is that my mom, she only gave birth to girls and she could not give birth to a boy because there was something that was going on in the family. Like there was a lot of witchcraft. So there was one of our uncles who was said to have a lot of tokologies. So the tokology wanted some wives. So my mother was then cursed by our uncle so that she can only give birth to girls, and we were then made to become wives to that tokology. Then that uncle passed away. After he had passed away, he left his son, who ended up being our cousin brother. So my mother was the one who took him in when he was very young, and no, my mother never got any assistance from anyone because my father's relatives, they just wanted to forget about our uncle because he was such an evil man. So my father and my mother, they were the ones that raised this cousin brother of mine who ended up dying here in South Africa. So when my cousin brother was all grown up, my mother honestly thought that maybe my cousin brother, he was the one who was going to come back home and renovate our houses and to carry on with my father's name, since my father never had a son. But when he came here to South Africa, he then changed his mind because he then met this other woman who thought that she was very clever. So this woman, she started to become friends with some of our relatives who hated my mother a lot, who had never assisted my mother when her husband was still very young. She hated my mother so much. And when she would go to her white garment prophets, she was told a lot of stuff about my mother. Since my mother was married into a family where there was a lot of witchcraft that was taking place, trying to defend herself and to defend her marriage and to defend her children, she also went to a traditional healer. And when she went to that traditional healer, that was when she was given some charms. So this woman, when she was going around visiting some prophets, she was told that my mother, she was a witch, an evil witch. So she hated my mother a lot and she did not even want to speak with me. It then happened that my mother said that she wanted me to assist her. I then returned back home, and at that time when I returned back home, my cousin brother's wife, she was pregnant, and I was then given this other bottle. This was after we had gone to this other traditional healer's place. When we went there, then we were given this other bottle, and I was told that I should take that bottle and bring it with me to South Africa. I was supposed to wait until the day that my sister-in-law, she would go to the hospital. So what we did not know was that she was someone that was very powerful in prayer, and she would go to these white garment prophets, and she had been told already by the white garment prophets that this is what we had been planning. So when she went to the hospital to give birth, the plan was that I was supposed to take that bottle that I was keeping in my room, and I was supposed to open it up the moment that I would hear that she is at the hospital. So I did. After I had opened that bottle, I then went with it outside. Then I closed that bottle. The case was that my sister-in-law, she was supposed to die during childbirth. If she was not going to die, then the child that she was carrying was the one that was supposed to die. But unfortunately, a prophet was much more powerful than my mother's traditional healer. So we then felt, and she knew that we had tried to kill her whilst she was in the hospital. But at that time, she thought that maybe she had defeated me and my mother. But we kept on trying. It then happened that my cousin brother, he got sick whilst he was at work. They said that he just fell down, and when his boss saw that he had fallen down, he then rushed him to this other government hospital. And whilst he was at that hospital, that was when the traditional healer noticed that this was an opportunity, and he spoke with my mother, and my mother informed me that this is what a traditional healer had told her. I was supposed to rush back home, and I was supposed to take that bottle, to open it up and to close it. After I had lied to my boss that there was an emergency, I then rushed back to my place where I was staying with my husband. I then took that bottle, I opened it up, and I blew inside that bottle, and I closed it up. And then I waited for the rest of my relatives to go and visit my brother. As if I really cared for my brother, I then went to the hospital to see him. When I went there, my brother, that was the day that he passed away. So we were told that from the moment that his boss arrived with him at the hospital, because of those demonic forces that were following my brother and the spirit of death, the nurses, they just ignored him, and they said that since he did not have any documentation and since he was from Zim, they were going to assist him last. They wanted to assist some South Africans first. But what these nurses did not understand was that the spirit of death was the one that brought so much hatred into their hearts, because my brother was not supposed to live. He was supposed to die. So my brother, he was just left like at the place where you are admitted at the hospital. They just left him until he was sleeping on the floor. By the time that they admitted him, it was already too late. The spirits that wanted him dead, they had already done their job. When I got there, I saw that my brother, he was really sick. It was as if someone had been pumping some air into his stomach. His stomach was really big, like a balloon. And I then understood that the moment that I was blowing air into that bottle, it was like I was also blowing air into my cousin brother's stomach. My brother passed away, but after my brother had passed away, that was when I started to regret. Even right now, I have so much regret in my heart, and I feel as if my mother, she used me to settle a scores with my father's relatives. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our sister right there. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Then there is another message that I have. It also comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation reads like this: Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I hope that my story, it is going to help other people out there who are going to listen to my confession. It does not matter if you are South African, if you are from Nigeria, or if you are from Zim. Please, gentlemen, stay away from Rustenburg. If you have come to Rustenburg for work, know what you have come to do, and after that, return back to your people. This is my own story. I came here to South Africa and I started staying in Rustenburg. This was in early 2007. When I was still back home in Zim, I was a police officer. Because of the low salary that we were being given, I then thought of skipping the country and I came here to South Africa. I started staying here in Rustenburg, and because I never had any money, there was no women that ever loved me. I was just single until I got a job. When I produced my certificates at this other mine, immediately I was hired. During those years, there was this new thing of Sira that was coming out, but most of the people didn't even care if you had Sira or not. But now you cannot work as a security guard in South Africa without the Sira. So at that time when I got that job, I was quite lucky. I was able to work without any verification at all, and I was getting paid a lot of money. Since I was an ex-police officer, this meant that I had a lot of experience. I should have used that opportunity to keep the money that I was making so that I can start my small little business. But my brother, after I had gotten the job at that mine, that was when the women in Rustenburg noticed. It was as if I was now the king of Rustenburg. These women, they were just flocking to me until one caught my attention. Yes, I had been sleeping with a lot of them, but there was this one who stole my heart. She was still young and very beautiful, and she promised me that she was going to give me a lot of kids. And oh yes, she was a Xhosa woman. You just don't know the love of a Xhosa woman. It can make you to forget even your name. This woman, she would kneel down and crawl for me the moment that I would come back from work with my salary. She will do some things that you won't even believe, the things that she used to do for me. Then she asked me to renovate her parents' house. So I did, with the way that she was loving me, with the way that she would actually cry for me for no reason at all. When I would ask her, why is she crying for me? She will then tell me that she was thinking that I was cheating on her. And each and every time when I would see her crying, then I would feel so sorry for her. And I'll say, this woman, she's really desperate for me. I should give her all of my heart. And that was the mistake that I did, to give a Xhosa woman my heart. And she broke my heart into several pieces. After I had given her a lot of money and bought a car for her brother. From the time that I started dating her in 2008 until she dumped me and she moved on and she is now married. This was in 2014. That was when she dumped me. And it was quite unfortunate that the time that she dumped me, that was when at work I was told to go and register for SIRA. And when I went there, the requirements, it was such that I could not even get that SIRA verification, and I lost my job. Right now, Brother Nashi, I am just working in the construction industry, but it hurts me a lot because during that time when I was still making a lot of money, each and every month, and what this woman would do is that she would hire a taxi, then she would come and collect me at the mine where I was working. And it will only be me and her and the taxi driver. From there on, if I would have knocked off very early, then we would go to ShopRite. Then we would go and buy a lot of groceries. We would fill that taxi with a lot of groceries. From there on, that was when we would go back to her parents' house. And she would lock me up. If it was on a Friday, she would lock me up from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. She would only open up the gate for me early Monday morning. Then she would take me straight to the mine where I was working. So from the time that I started making money, this woman never gave me any opportunity at all. She made me to forget about my wife that I had left in Zim. Because when I came here, my wife, I left her in Bulawayo. She was pregnant. I never even cared anymore for my wife that I had left in Zim. All that I cared about was my Xhosa woman who was giving me true love. But I guess that all that she cared about was my money. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our brother. What exactly happens in Rustenburg? There was another message from a sister who was saying that she is from Malawi, who just said that we lost our father in Rustenburg. He just went there and he never returned.